Ayah Asher Ayah. I am he who breathes Chai. Yahuah. I am he who breathes Chai. Ayah Asher Ayah. Manishma Anashim Mishpaka. Shalom Yehudi. Mashalomah to the men, Mashalomka to the girls. I greet you all this Yom, to all the Bayit house of Yasharel, all the Goyim coming out of paganism, all the Goyim feeling alienated, but now being grafted in to the Bayit of Yasharel. Shalom Aleikum, Shalom Shalim. Welcome to the Eliyahu's channel. Praise Abba for this opportunity to come to you, to your home again, and visit with you as we are going to continue the teaching and the lesson as told by Sefer Yasher, Part 1, the journey of Abram to Abraham, from his childhood up, the missing parts that we believe are truly complete or more detailed, a little more information in the book of Sefer Yasher, which we're going to be reading from Yasher chapter 8, verse 1, all the way as far as we can go. We're going to have to break it up, part 1 and 2, because I promised you I would do that, because we didn't do that last couple weeks. We want to continue Yasher, Sefer Yasher, so you can get a better understanding of it. Praise Abba Yah for the great opportunity to come before you. And we love you and thank you for tuning in to eagleshavenministry.com, HaRuachEliyahu channel as well, and EliyahuChannel.com. Praise Abba Yah. Hallelujah. Now, like always, before we open, we want to show you replacement theology, correction of these words that the Apostolic Catholic Church has put into the scriptures. We've inherited lies from our forefathers. We've inherited this from the Geneva translation that inherited from the Latin Catholic Vulgate, that inherited the Geneva translation, that inherited from the King Amos scriptures, and a whole bunch of others all melted together during that time and season. So now we're showing you this not to judge you, not to be critical or be judgmental, but to help you bridge and teach you the correct words to speak and say. And you could freeze this, look at it. You can also go on my website on eagleshavenministry.com and click the replacement theology correction words, and then also or email me and I can send you a copy of them. Now, we're not here to judge you or mock you or disrespect you, because we were all there once too. Even the rabbinical and the messianics use many of these Catholic Latin words. You know, even the rabbinical Talmud, I can't believe it, they're using Latin numbers. Can you believe that? Roman Latin numbers. And there's no need for that. They could change that, but they continue to do that. And because there's a lot of words they use and don't even question that they're paganized words, or maybe the upper elect do, and they're a part of the cabal to do this agreement of speaking the pagan words with a prohibition not to speak the true name of the Father, or even to try to speak his name and take the ancient phonetic charts. We use the Paleo-Semitic Ketav Ibrit, the Paleo-Semitic Ketav Hebrew ancient phonetic sound charts, to do our best to sound the name of Yahuah and also Yahushua. And we're putting this there on the screen so you can take a picture in memory of it. Praise Abba Yah for this great opportunity to be with you and to see you. Praise Abba Yah for this opportunity. As you see right here to down here, I'm pointing, we are in Vimeo TV for smart TVs. You go to the religious section and download that little app and then search out Eliyahu's channel, or type it in, Eliyahu's channel, and add it to your Vimeo. All right? Some say Vimeo, I still can't get it. All right? I should look up the etymology of it and find out what it is. I wonder what it is. But anyways, so we're on, you can download us in your smart TV. It's like going on YouTube. All my stuff is not downloaded there still. It's taking time because of the megabytes of additional information in the transfer. But now, let's go on to Abraham's journey and story without any delay. We'll just continue, and I pray that Yahuah baruch you and anoint you. May his Ruach fall upon you and shine upon you, that the veils and the deaf and dumb spirits and the veils and the deafness will come off of all the religious things we have inherited to be broken in the Shem of Yahushua. We ask you to open their eyes, they may hear, see, open their ears, they may hear, open their nefesh, and open their lab, their inner heart and being. Abba, we pray these things right now in the Shem of Yahushua, that you would speak to us as we are reading the Torah. As we are reading the Torah in the way through Sefer Yasher that was recorded and quoted in throughout the scriptures, 3 witnesses that it was read. Is it not written in the book of Yasher? Well, we're going to find out the story of Abram to Abraham. Is it not written in the book of Sefer Yasher? And we pray that Abba will give you enlightenment or light from Shamayim of revelation to understand what we're reading, and see as you read together with your Bereshit side by side where we left off, and we read it together and continue this great adventure of studying more details, heavy stuff. It's going to take some part 2 or 3 just to get through Abraham, because it's very detailed, a lot of chapters, and the chapters are very long verses. So let's go ahead and begin. Praise Hallelujah. And we pray, oh, his presence, the same presence that's here with me now, will be present with you there, with his Ruach Kadosh, to touch you with Emunah and to stir up your gift in the Shem of Yahushua. Amen, amen, amen. Hallelujah. This is a little blurry, but we can understand it, okay? So I had to take a picture of it. And upload it into my computer and create this little pictures of this book, all right? From yourarmsisrael.com, or it's called The Restoring of the Name, the Kodesh Names edition, the Nazarite edition, starting from verse 1, chapter 8, where we left off, chapter 8, verse 1. And it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terach and all the wizards, men of Nimrod, and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terach, and they celebrated or Gila with him on that night. When all the wizards, men, and conjurers went out from the house of Terach, they lifted up their eyes toward the Shamayim that night to look at the Kokabim. And they saw, and behold, one very large Kokab came from the east and ran in the Shamayim, and he swallowed up the 4 Kokabim from the 4 sides of the Shamayim. And all the wizards and wisers, men of the Melech, and his conjurers were astonished at the sight. And the sages understood this matter, and they knew its import. Verse 4, and they said to each other, this only is a sign that the child that has been born to Terach this night who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth. he and his children, li olam ve'ad, forever. And he and his Zerah seed, Zerah, will slay great Malakim and inherit their lands. And the wizards, men, and conjurers went home that night. And in the morning, all these wizards and wisers, conjurers, rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. And they spoke and said to each other, Behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the Melech. It has not been made known to him. And should this thing get known to the Melech in the later Yamim, he will say to us, Why have you concealed this matter from me? And then we shall all suffer death. Therefore, now let us go and tell the Melech the sight which we saw, and the interpretation of it, and we shall then remain clear. And verse 8, and they did so, and they all went to the Melech and bowed down to him to the ground, and they said, May the Melech live, may the Melech live. And he's talking about Nimrod. We heard that a son was born to Terach, the son of Nachor, the prince of your host, and we came to his house last night, and we ate and drank, and Gila, that's better than the word rejoice, with him that night. And when your servants went out from the house of Terach to go to our respective homes to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to the Shamayim, and we saw a great Kokab coming from the east, and the same Kokab ran with great speed and swallowed up 4 great Kokabim from the 4 sides of Shamayim. Verse 11, and your servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and were greatly terrified. And we made our mishpat upon the sight, and knew by our wizardry the proper interpretation of it. And this thing applies to the child that is born to Terach, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the Melechim of the earth and inherit all their lands. He and his seed, Sarah, li olam ve'ed, forever, eternally. Verse 12, and now our master and Melech, behold, we have truly acquainted you with what we have seen concerning this child. If it seems tov to the Melech to give his Abba value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and his evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through his evil. And the Melech heard their words, and they seemed tov in his sight. And he sent and called for Terach, and Terach came before the Melech. Now this is Abram's Abba. Verse 15, and the Melech said to Terach, I have been told that a son was born to you last night, and after this manner was observed in the Shamayim at his birth. 16, and now therefore give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil springs up against us, and I will give you for his value your house full of silver and gold. And Terach answered the Melech and said to him, My master, the Melech, and Melech, I have heard your words, and your servant shall do all that his Melech desires. But my master and Melech, I will tell you what happened to me last night, that I may see what advice the Melech will give his servant, and then I will answer the Melech upon what he sees. He has just spoken. And the Melech said, Speak. And Terach said to the Melech, On, son of Moab, came to me last night, saying, Give to me the great and beautiful horse that the Melech gave you, and I will give you silver and gold and straw and provender for its value. And I said to him, Wait till I see the Melech concerning your words. And behold, whatever the Melech says, that will I do. Now my master and Melech, behold, I have made this thing known to you, and the advice that my Melech will give to his servant, that will I follow. And And the Melech heard the words of Terach, and his anger was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool. And the Melech answered Terach, and he said to him, "Are you so silly, ignorant, or deficient in understanding to do this thing, to give your beautiful horse for silver and gold, or even for straw or provender? Are you so short of silver and gold that you should do this thing, because you cannot obtain straw and provender to feed your horses? Your horse? And what is silver and gold to you, or straw and provender, that you should give away that fine horse which I gave you, like which there is none to be had on the whole Aretz?" And the Melech left off from speaking, and Terach answered the Melech, saying, "Like to this has the Melech spoken to his servant. I beseech you, my master and Melech, what is this which you did say to me, saying, Give your son, that we may slay him, and I will give you silver and gold for his value? What shall I do with silver and gold after the death of my son? Who shall inherit it? Surely then, at my death, the silver and gold will return to my Melech, who gave it." And when the Melech heard the words of the Terach and the parable that he brought concerning the Melech, it grieved him greatly, and he was vexed at this thing, and his anger burned with him. He got caught in his own words, got caught in his own game, right? He beat him to his own game. And Terach saw that the anger of the Melech was kindled against him, and he answered the Melech, saying, "All that I have is in the Melech's power. Whatever the Melech desires to do to his servant, that let him do. Yes, even my son. He is the Melech's power, without value, without exchange. He and his two brothers that are older than he." And Nimrod the Melech said to Terach, "No, but I will purchase your younger son for a price." And Terach answered the Melech, saying, "I beseech you, my master and Melech, to let your servant speak a word before you, and let the Melech hear the word of his servant." And Terach said, "Let my Melech give me 3 yamim time, till I consider this matter within myself, and consult with my family concerning the words of the Melech." And he pressed the Melech greatly to agree to this. And the Melech hearkened to Terach, and he did so. And he gave him 3 yamim time. 3 yamim, 3 nights. 3 yamim, remember? And Terach went out from the Melech's presence, and he came home to his family, and he spoke to them all the words that the Melech and the people were greatly afraid. The Melech and the people were greatly afraid. And it was in the 3rd yom that the Melech sent to Terach, saying, "Send me your son for a price as if I spoke to you. And should you not do this, I will send and slay all you have in your house, so that you shall not even have a dog remaining." And Terach hurried, as the thing was urgent, from the Melech, and he took a child from one of his servants, which his handmaiden had born to him that yom. And Terach brought the child to the Melech and received value for him. And Yahuah was with the Terach in this matter, that Nimrod might not cause Abram's death. And the Melech took the child from Terach, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground, for he thought it had been Abram. And this was concealed from him from that yom, and it was forgotten by the Melech, as it was the will of the providence not to suffer Abram's death. And Terach took his son secretly, together with his Emma and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave, and he brought them their provisions monthly. And Yahuah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up. And Abram was in the cave 10 years. The Melech and his princes, soothsayers and sages, thought that the Melech had killed Abram. So they couldn't counter up the spirits. They couldn't get a word of knowledge, a word of hokmah, because they operated under soothsaying, familiar spirits. Not even the demons could warn Nimrod. Okay? So They all forgot about it. It was forgotten. So he got to grow up in the cave and get mentored up and taught, which you'll see how. Chapter 9. And Haran, the son of Terach, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those Yamim. Verse 2. And Haran was 39 years old when he took her. And the wife of Haran conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Lot. And she conceived again and bore a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bore a daughter, and she called her name Sarai. This is in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 11, 26, 27. Lot was born, and Sarai. Haran was 42 years old when he begot Sarai, which was in the 10th year of the high of Abram. And in those Yamim, Abram and his Emma and nurse went out from the cave, as the Melech and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noach. Abram went to live with Noach and Shem, and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the Torah of Yahuah and his halachot, the right ways. And no man knew where Abram was, and Abram served Noach and Shem, his son, for a long time. So he went to get mentored and grow up in Torah from Noach and Shem, his grandfather, great-grandfather. All right? He went to get taught and be taught by them the Torah, the right rule, and hear all the understanding of Yahuah. Verse 6. And Abram was in the Noach's house 39 years. All right, come on, man. And Abram knew Yahuah from 3 years old, and he went to the halachot, and he went in the halachot of Yahuah until the yom of his death, as Noach and his son Shem had taught him. So now, he grew up 10 years, but it says that since he was 3 years old, what's 3 years old? Knowledge of, he knew he was waking up, the knowledge of good and evil and right and wrong, right rule, okay? So his Emma, his mother, was teaching him the right rule, and then when he became 10, he got transferred to Noach's house to be taught Torah, reading, writing, studying more, and above adult basic education, and getting advanced knowledge of Yahuah. Okay? He was taught by Noach, and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those Yamim greatly transgressed against Yahuah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other Elohim, and they forgot Yahuah, who had created them in the earth, the Ares, and the inhabitants of the earth made to themselves at that time every man his own Elohim, Elohim of wood, of stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver, and the sons of men served them, and they became their Elohim. And the Melech, this is Nimrod, and all his servants, and Terach with all his household, were then the first of those that served Elohim of wood and stone, and Terach had 12 Elohim of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year. And he served each one monthly, and every month Terach would bring his meat offerings, drink offerings to his false mighty ones. And this did Terach all the Yamim. So even Abraham's Abba backslid, he became an idol temple, became an idol worshiper, the zodiac, worshiping every month like the Romans did, many pagans did in Europe, throughout Rome, Greece. They worship, when you say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those are all pagan mighty ones. So they had a different mighty one per day and a different mighty one per month to worship historically. And it all started back then with the times of Nimrod. Okay? He's the father of all that Babylonian garbage, right? Babel. Verse 9. And all that generation were wicked in the sight of Yahuah, and they made every man his Elohim, but they forsook Yahuah who had created them. And there was not a man found in those Yamim in the whole earth who knew Yahuah, for they served each man his own Elohims, except Noach and his household, and all those who were under his counsel knew Yahuah in those Yamim. And Abram, the son of Terach, was growing greatly in those Yamim in the house of Noach, and no man knew it, and Yahuah was with him. And Yahuah gave Abram an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were vain, and that all their Elohims were vain and were of no avail. And Abram saw the shining, verse 13, and Abram saw the Shemesh shining upon the Eretz, and Abram said to himself, surely now this Shemesh that shines upon the Eretz is a Elohim, a mighty one, and him will I serve. And Abram served the sun in that one Yom, and he prayed to it, and when evening came, the sun set as usual, and Abram said within himself, surely this cannot be an Elohim. So he got the right rule. He was 10 years old. He went to live with Noach and Shem for 37. He's 47 years old. He says, okay, let me test it here. Noach had an experience, Shem has an experience, but I don't have an experience. So let me explore. All these other people are worshiping the sun, moon, and the Kokabims, and the different planets, and the whole zodiac. So let me test this waters here. He went ahead and did it. How about letting him do it? Because he was going to convince him who he should serve. And night darkened over him, and he lifted up his eyes toward the west, north, south, and east. And he saw that the Shamayim had vanished from the Eretz, and the Yom became dark. And Abram saw the Kokabim, moon, the Kodesh, before him. And he said, surely this is a mighty one who created the whole Eretz, as well as man. And behold, these his servants are Elohim around him, meaning the Kokabim around him. And Abram served the moon and prayed to it all that night, all like the zodiac. And what happened? In the morning, when it was light, and the Shemesh shone upon the Eretz as usual, Abram saw all the things that Yahuah Elohim had made upon the Eretz. And Abram said to himself, surely these are not Elohim that made the Eretz and all mankind, but these are the servants of the mighty one, the true mighty one, Elohim. And Abram remained in the house of Noach, and there knew Yahuah and his holocaust, and he served Yahuah all the Yamim of his high. And all that generation forgot Yahuah and served other Elohims of wood, stone, and rebelled all their Yamim. Verse 20, and Melech Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control, was of one tongue and words of union. There was a one-world order going on, new world order. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together, put Misharim, Cush, Canaan with their families, and they said to each other, come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching the Shamayim, and we will make ourselves famous. So they are all one tongue. It's like the New World Order, the Tower of Babel, the first one, according to Bereshit, Genesis 11, 1 through 4. Okay, so they planted a seed thought. There was a word that went out, so that we may reign upon the whole Eretz, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, that we may not become scattered over the Eretz on account of their wars. And they all went before the Melech, and they told the Melech these words. And the Melech agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men. This is in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 11, verse 2. And they went to seek the extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought in the whole earth Arech, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 yamim walk. And they journeyed there, and they dwelt there, and they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the towers of that, and the tower that they had imagined to complete. So they had a blueprint going. They had an image of what to do. They had technology to do it back then. In verse 25, and the building of the tower was to them a transgression and a sin. And they began to build it, and while they were building against Yahuah, the Elohim of the Shamayim, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into the Shamayim. And all these people and all the families divided themselves into 3 parts, like 3 councils, three deciding factors of what they're going to do when they reach Shamayim. The first said, we will ascend to the Shamayim and fight against him. The second said, we will ascend to Shamayim and place our own Elohims there and serve them. And the third part said, we will ascend to the Shamayim and smite him with the bows and spears. And Elohim knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. Now, consider this for a minute. Ponder what they're saying, these 3 counts. Are they doing the same now? Aren't they ascending to fight against Yahuah? Did they launch rockets and missiles to break up what we call the dome, or the what we call the firmament? All right, and above us and the firmament below? Did they send fisheye nuclear rocket warheads and try to pierce through it and blow it up? Didn't they look like fiery red balls of fire in the sky? I was a little boy. I saw it at a distance. We heard the boom. We went outside. We saw the remainders of one of those fisheye nuclear explosion, hydrogen explosions in the sky. Okay, so now, and do they do it now? They send their rockets and missiles and their arrows and their bows up, and they put them all in the name of Apollo and other different Greek deity mighty ones, and they place their names up there in the heavens, so to say. Can't reach the Shamayim. And they want to smite them with their bows and arrows, their rockets. Hello? And Yahuah knew all their works and evil thoughts. Verse 27. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high, strong tower. On account of its height, the mortar and the bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it until those who went up had a complete and a full year. It took them a whole year to walk up there with the bricks and mortar on their back. Okay? And after that, they reached to the builders and gave them the mortar and the bricks. This was done daily. Verse 28. And behold, these ascended and others descended the whole yom. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. They care about the mortar and brick more than the human, the person, created in the image of the Elohim. Verse 29. And Yahuah knew their thoughts. And it came to pass, when they were building, they cast the arrows toward the Shamayim. So, look, it came to pass when they were building. They were still building. They haven't finished the construction yet. But they thought they reached the firmament. They thought they reached the top part, right? They cast the arrow toward the Shamayim. And all the arrows fell upon them, filled with blood, and when they saw them, they said to each other, surely we have slain all those that are in the Shamayim. Verse 30, for this was from Yahuah, in order to cause them to err, and in order to destroy them from off the face of the ground. And they built the tower and the city. They did this thing daily until many yamim and years were elapsed. Many years. Bereshit 11, 5 through 9. 32 of Yasher verse. And Eloah said to the 70 Malakim who stood before, or stood foremost before him. So he had 70 principalities, 7 Malakim, Malaks, or cherubs, or seraphims, all right, to those who were near to him, saying, come, let us descend and confuse their tongues, that one man should not understand the language of his neighbor. And they did so to them. And from that yom following, they forgot each man his neighbor's tongue, and they could not understand to speak in one tongue. And when the builders took from the hand of his neighbor lime or stone, which he did not order, the builder would cast it away and throw it upon his neighbor, that he would die. And they did so many yamim, and they killed many of them in this manner. They didn't know what was going on. They're all speaking in tongues up there. All right, verse 35. And Yahuah smote the 3 divisions that were there. The 3 divisions were up there on the top trying to wait. It takes a year to climb up there. They're doing their little fireworks show, whatever they're doing to try to pierce the Shamayim. And the arrows and bows, whatever they were coming down. Now, archaeologists have gone to this site where they believe Nimrod's Tower of Babel was. And they analyzed the soil and the samples in the middle, and they found minute, and they don't know what it is, but they found minute samples, molecules of elements of type of rocket fuel or some type of fuel burning agent residue around the leftover hump of the mountain that they consider to be the Tower of Babel today. So what were they really shooting? They created a launching pad. That's what they did. Okay? And Yahuah smote the 3 divisions that were there. So they were hanging out up there the whole time. And he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, look at this. This is particular to principalities that in India and Hindu belief systems. Okay? The one that is said, send to the Shamayim and serve our Elohim, and he punished them according to their works and design. According to their own design and works. Those who said, number 1, he will ascend to the Shamayim and serve our Elohim. They're false mighty ones. They became like apes and elephants. And didn't in Hindu belief system have pagan deities like that? Their principalities, fallen ones. And those who said, we will smite the Shamayim with arrows, Yahuah killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. So they started fighting each other. So they want to go up there and fight Yahuah, they're going to fight each other till they were killed. The 3rd division of those who said, we will ascend to the Shamayim and fight against him, Yahuah scattered them throughout the whole eretz, and those who were left among them, when they knew and understood the evil that was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole eretz. 37. And they ceased building the city and the tower, therefore he called that place Babel. For there Yahuah confounded the language of the whole eretz. Behold, it was at the east of the land of Shinar. It's found in Bereshit chapter 11, verse 9. And as to the tower which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the foundation of it, basically. Up 1/3 part of it. 1/3 got smashed down. And a fire also descended from the Shamayim and burnt another 1/3. And the other 1/3 is left to this yom, and is of that part which was aloft, and its circumference is 3 yamim war. So you only can climb it 3 yamims. Okay. It's still tall, but now what's left, it's really nothing left. Okay, and many of the sons of men died in that tower, of people without number. So all those people took a year to climb. 1/3 of them got sucked up into the earth. Another 1/3 got devoured by fire. And whatever survived those compact, pressed together destruction, but many saw from a distance to live and tell about it. They died, chapter 10, verse 1. And Peleg, the son of Eber, died in those Yamim in the 48th year of the Lahai of Abraham, son of Terach. And all the Yamim of Peleg were 239 years. Verse 2, and when Yahuah had scattered the sons of men on account of their sin at the tower, behold, they spread forth into many divisions, and all the sons of men were dispersed into the four corners of the Eretz. And all the families became each according to its language, its land, and its city. And the sons of men built many cities according to their families, in all the places where they went, and throughout the Eretz where Yahuah had scattered them. Found in Genesis chapter 11, verse 9. And some of them built cities in places from which they were afterward extirpated. And they called these cities after their own names or the names of their children, and after a particular occurrence. And the sons of Japheth, the son of Noach, went and built themselves cities in the places where they were scattered. And they called all their cities after their names. And the sons of Japheth were divided upon the face of the Eretz into many divisions and languages. But the ones that were part of Babel, they named their children according to that experience of the tower falling. Okay, and the ones of Japheth, their sons of Noach that scattered, that were living of good seed line, that were not fallen, that were worshiping Yahuah, they ended up naming the cities after their own sons and daughters, or their sons. Verse 7, and these are the sons of Japheth, according to their families: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavan, Tubal, Meshach, Teras. These are the children of Japheth according to their generations. And the children of Gomer according to their cities were the Frankum, who dwell in the land of Franzah, by the river of Franzah, by the river of Sinah. And the children of Raphath are the Batonim, who dwell in the land of Matonia, by the river of Ledah, which empties its Mayim waters in the great sea of Gihon, which is Oshunus, like the oceans. You think those words are early? The word ocean just came out of some Greek book. Verse 10, and the children of Tugamah are 10 families, and these are their names: Bezar, Bazunak, Bagar, Eli, Hanum, Hag, Be, Ev, Tagi, Bet, Zevuk, Angal, Tenbaz. All these spread and rested in the north and built themselves cities. And they called their cities after their own names. Those are they who abide by the rivers of Hithlah and Etalak to this yom. But the families of Enguli, Balgar, and Barzunak, they dwelt by the great river Dubni. And the names of their cities are also according to their own families. And the children of Yavan are the Yavani, who dwell in the land of Macedonia. And the children of Madan are the Orlum, that dwell in the land of Kirshon. And the children of Tubal are those that dwell in the land of Terskana, by the river of Pasha. And the children of Meshach are the Shebashini. And the children of Taras are Rashash, Kushni, and Golis. All these went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities that are situated by the sea of Jabus, by the river of Kura, which empties itself in the river of Tagon. And the children of Elisha are the Aluminim, and they also went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities situated between the mountains of Iov and Shivadmo, and of them were the people of Lombardy. Sounds like Italians, who dwell opposite of the mountains of Iov, Shivanomo. And they conquered the land of Italia and remained there to this yom, Italia. And the children of Shittim are the Ramaim, who dwell by the valley of Konopia, by the river of Breu. 17. And the children of Dudanim are those who dwell in the cities of the Sea of Gihon, in the land of Bodah. Verse 18. These are the families of the children of Yaphat, according to their cities and languages, when they were scattered after the tower. They called their cities after their names, occurrences, and these are the names of all their cities, according to their families which they built in those Yamim after the tower. And the children of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan, according to their generations and their cities. Now, Nimrod didn't go nowhere. He's going to come up. The story continues with Nimrod. Okay, he lives a lot of years longer and promotes a lot of problems, continues a lot of wickedness. Okay, verse 20. And all these went and built themselves cities, and they found fit places for them, and they called their cities after the names of their Avot, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, which we know Mizraim is today Egypt. Verse 21. And the children of Mizraim are the Ludim, or Anamim, Lihavim, Neftukim, Pathrushim, Kashlukim, and Kafturim. 7 families. All these dwell by the river of Shur, that is the brook of Mizraim. What is that, the Nile River? And they built themselves cities and called them after their own names. And the children of Pathros and Kashlok intermarried together, and from them went forth the Pelishtim and Asatim and the Jerarim, the Githim and the Ekorim, and in all 5 families. These also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after the names of their Avot to this yom. Verse 24. And the children of Canaan also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after their names, 11 cities, and others without number. Wow, wow, wow. Praise. Wow, yeah, what a trip. And 4 men from the family of Ham went to the land of plain. These are the names of the 4 men: Sidon, Amorah, Admah, and Zeboim. These men built themselves 4 cities in the land of the plain. That's right. And they called the names of their cities after their names. And they and their children, and all belonging to them, dwelt in those cities. And they were fruitful and multiplied greatly, and dwelt in Shalom. Verse 28. And Sir, the son of Hur, son of the son of Canaan, went and found a valley opposite to the mount of Paran, and he built a city there, and he and his 7 sons and his household dwelt there, and he called the city which he built Sir, according to his name. That is the land of Sir to this yom. These are the families of the children of Ham, according to their language in the cities, when they were scattered to their countries after the tower. And some of the children of Shem, son of Noach, Abba, of all the children of Ever, also went and built themselves cities in the places wherein they were scattered. And they called their cities after their names. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arpachshad, Lud, and Aram. I wonder who kept the Kodesh language. It could be these that probably kept the Shem language, because Noach went to stay with Noach and Shem, so they probably had to keep the same Kodesh language. And the ones scattered, they had the Babel language, probably. I'm just assuming there, you know. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Ishar, Arpachshad, Lud, and Abram. And they built themselves cities and called the names of all their cities after their names. 32. And Asher, son of Shem, and his children and household went forth at that time, a large body of them, and they went to a distant land that they found, and they met with a very extensive valley in the land that they went to, and they built themselves for 4 cities, and they called them after their own names and occurrence. And these are the names of the cities that the children of Asher built: Nineveh, that's right, Rashin, Kalak, and Rehovuther. And the children of Asher dwelt there to this yom. And the children of Aram also went and built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Uz, after their eldest brother, and they dwelt there. That is the land of Uz to this yom, the land of Uz, land of Uz. And in the second year after the tower, a man from the house of Asher, whose name was Bela, went from the land of Nineveh to sojourn with his household wherever he could find a place. And they came until the opposite the cities of the plain against Sodom, or Sodom. And they dwelt there. And verse 36, and the man rose up and built there a small city, and he called its name Bela. So that's where that pagan deity, one of the other cities, Bela, rules there after his name. And this is the land of Zorah to this yom. And these are the families of the children of Shem according to their languages, and the cities after they were scattered upon the Eretz after their tower, the tower. And every Malkut, sovereignty city, and family of the families of the children of Noach built themselves many cities after this. Verse 39, and they established governments in all their cities in order to be regulated by their orders. So did all the families of the children of Noach, li olam ve'ed. Chapter 11. And Nimrod, son of Cush, was still in the land of Shinar, and he reigned over it and dwelt there, and he built cities in the land of Shinar. And these are the names of the 4 cities that he built, and he called their names after the occurrences that happened to them in the building of the tower. So he called it by the name of what took place. Verse 3, and he called the first Babel, saying, because Yahuah there confounded the languages of the whole Eretz. And the name of the second he called Erech, because from there Elohim dispersed them. Verse 4, and the third he called Eked, saying, there was a great battle at that place. And then the fourth he called Kana, because his princes and the mighty men were consumed there. And they vexed Yahuah, they rebelled, and they transgressed against him. Now, he acknowledged that Yahuah was the mighty one, and the creator of Shamayim and the rest, and greater than all his stuff he was doing. But yet, he didn't repent. He didn't repent. Verse 5, and when Nimrod had built these cities in the land of Shinar, he placed in them the remainder of his people, his princes and his mighty men that were left in his Makut, sovereignty. Verse 6, and Nimrod dwelt in Babel, and he there renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects, and he reigned securely. And the subjects and the princes of Nimrod call his name Amraphel. He was like a Nephilim, okay, saying that at the tower his princes and men fell his means. So people nicknamed him Raphael, saying Amraphel, saying that as the tower his princes and men fell through his means. So he messed up. He lost part of his sovereignty, and they re-nicknamed him and gave him another name for his fall. Verse 7. Notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not teshuvah, he didn't repent to Yahuah, and he continued in the wickedness and teaching of wickedness to the sons of men, and Madon, his son, was worse than his Abba, and continued to add to the abominations of his Abba Nimrod. Verse 8, and he caused the sons of men to sin, therefore it is said, from the wickedness goes forth wickedness. Father like son, son like father, right? That's what they say today. Verse 9, at that time there was a war between the families of the children of Ham as they were dwelling in the cities that they had built. And Kedorlaomer, Melech of Elam, went away from the cities of the children of Ham. And he fought with them and subdued them. And he went to the 5 cities of the plain, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him a yearly tax. At that time died Nakar, the son of Serug, in the 49th year of the high of Abram, son of Terach. Now, from this 47, 48, 49, 2 years have gone by, and this is all the scenarios going by in the 2 years of from 47th year to the 49th year of Abram. And in the 50th year of the high of Abram, son of Terach, Abram came forth from the house of Noach and went to his Abba's house. Verse 14, and Abram knew Yahuah, and he went in his halakot, the ways, and the Torah Right Rules, instructions, and Yahuah, his Elohim, was with him. And Terach, his Abba, was in those Yamim, still captain of the army of Melech Nimrod. So they're all speaking the same tongue. They're all speaking the original language of Adam and Yahuah, of Noach. And he still follows strange Elohims. Oh, wow. Verse 16, and Abram came to his Abba's house and saw 12 Elohim standing there in their temples. So he's worshiping the zodiac. And the anger Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his Abba's house. And this is like, look at how many years have gone by. Okay? A lot of years have gone by. He didn't know his father has went into corruption. And Abram said, verse 17, and Abram said, as Yahuah lives, these images shall not remain in my Abba's house. So shall Yahuah, who created me, to do to me, if in these 3 yamim time I do not break them. So in the 3 days, he gives himself 3 yamim that he's going to destroy these idols and temples. If you try to do that to these Mason lodges and temples today, you'll be arrested, put in jail, stoned. All right? Back then they'll kill you. You'll see what happens. Isn't this a great story from the childhood growing up of Abram that was missed? Great, powerful story. Very edifying, very building up of Emunah. All right? I do not break them all. He gives himself 3 yamims. And verse 18, and Abram went from them, and his anger burned within him. And Abram hurried and went from the chamber to his Abba's outer court. And he found his Abba sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him. And Abram asked his Abba, saying, Abba, tell me, where is Elohim, who created the Shamayim and the Eretz, and all the sons of men of the Eretz, and who created you and me? And Terach answered his son Abram and said, behold, those who created us are all who with us in the house. And Abram said to his Abba, my master, show them to me, I ask you. And Terach brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court, and Abram saw, and behold, the whole room was full of false mighty ones, Elohims, of wood and stone, 12 great images, and others less than they, without number. So you got the 12 zodiac and the 7 ones for each day of the week. Okay? And Terach said to his son, behold, these are they which made all you see upon earth, Eretz, which created me and you and all mankind. Oh, come on, dude. Give me a break. Verse 22, and Terach bowed down to his Elohim, and he then went away from them, and Abram his son went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his Emma and sat before her, and he said to his Emma, behold, my Abba has shown me those who made the Shamayim and Eretz, and all the sons of men. Now therefore hurry and fetch a kid from the flock and make of it tasty meat, that I may bring it to my Abba's Elohim as an offering for them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. He's getting ready to mock. Okay? He's getting ready to mock this thing, play their game and mock them. Verse 22, and his Emma did so, and she fetched a kid and made tasty meat of it and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the tasty meat from his Emma and brought it before his Abba's Elohim. And he drew near to them that they might eat. And Terach his Abba did not know of it. And Abram saw on that Yom, when he was sitting around them, that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion. Not one of them could stretch forth the hand to eat. And Abram mocked them said, "Surely this tasty meat that I prepared has not pleased them, or perhaps it was too little for them, and for that reason they would not eat. Therefore tomorrow I will prepare fresh tasty meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the results." So he's playing their game. And it was on the next Yom that Abram directed his Emma concerning the tasty meat. And his Emma rose and fetched 3 fine kids from the flock, and she made of them some excellent tasty meat, such as her son was found of. And she gave it to her son Abram, and Terach his Abba did not know of it. And Abram took the tasty meat from his Emma and brought it before his Abba Elohim into the chamber. And he came near to them that they might eat. And he placed it before them. And Abram sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they may eat. Come on. It must have been a good draw. It must have been a very serious looking, artistic look, almost real. And Abram viewed them, and behold, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did one of them stretch forth his hand to the meat to eat. And in the evening of that Yom, in that house, Abram was clothed with the Ruach of Elohim, not Elohim, Elohim, the Aleph beginning letter. Verse 32, and he called out and said, "Woe to my Abba and this generation, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, hear, nor speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, legs which cannot move. Like them are those that made them, and that trust in them." Verse 33, and when Abram saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his Abba, and he hurried and took a hatchet in his hand, and came to the chamber of his father's little mighty ones, Elohim, and he broke all his Abba's Elohim. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed the hatchet in the hand of the great Elohim. They said that was Moloch or Dagon, one of the big ones, which was there before them. And he went out, and Terach his Abba came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of striking of a hatchet. So Terach came into the house to know what this was about. And Terach, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of images, ran to the room to the images, and he met Abram going out. This is great. This is common sense. Whatever happened to common sense, like today. In verse 36, and Terach entered the room and found all the idols fallen to the ground and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken. And the tasty meat that Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Terach saw, his anger was greatly kindled, and he hurried and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram his son still sitting in the house, and he said to him, "What is this work you have done to my mighty ones, my false deities?" And Abram answered Terach his Abba, and he said, not so, my master, for I brought tasty meat before them, and when I came near to them with the meat that they might eat, they all at once stretched forth their hands to eat, before the great one had put forth his hand to eat. And the large one saw their works that they did before them, and his anger was violently kindled against them, and he went and took the hatchet that was in the house, and came to them, and broke them all, and behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as you see. Verse 41, and Terach's anger was kindled against this son of Abram, when he spoke this. And Terach said to Abram his son in his anger, "What is this tale that you have told? You speak lies to me." Man, doesn't the guy have common sense? Doesn't he have common sense? We're going to stop there in verse 40, to continue in verse 41 of this page and chapter. Make this first part 1, and we'll continue in part 2, and continue to read in part 2 of the stories of Abram to Abraham, the history, stories of the journey of Abram to Abraham. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in.